I'm really sorry.
It's tough
Yeah.
for everybody, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get this packet downloaded. 22. It's 5:30. We're holding a hybrid meeting of the Plan Review Committee for Monroe County. And so would you please call the roll?
Sure. Bernie Gertos is not present tonight, but Julie Thomas, I believe, is joining virtually in a little bit. Jeff Morris.
Here.
Margaret Clement.
Here.
Scott Harris.
Yes.
Amy Swing.
Here.
Okay, so we have 4 people and a quorum in person.
Okay, and there's no administrative business that I see on the agenda.
No, I was gonna give just a quick 2-sentence introduction for Jeff, since he's kind of new to the plan
Yes.
committee. So the main purpose of the plan review committee, it's just an advisory board. So all the petitions that are in the plan review committee will go on to the plan commission. That's my commission. So you're reviewing rezones or plan unit development outline plans. And you're just looking at whether it meets the comprehensive plans for the area. So Ian's gonna go through her presentation. And what we'll be looking at is there'll be a section with comprehensive plan, and we usually kind of highlight areas where it's compliant with it or differing from it. So that'll be your recommendation by the plan review committee. Sometimes you guys make a formal vote to recommend to the plan commission a certain recommendation, positive or negative. All right, you have to take it.
All right. So new business is REZ 22-8, and this concerns 117.29 acre parcel in Clear Creek Township at 7955 Fairfax Road. And Ms. Quincy, will you please introduce us to this case?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So this 17-acre parcel, it's located in Clear Creek Township, section 11. It's unplatted. It's addressed off of 7955 South Fairfax Road. So the property is currently zoned agricultural rural reserve and also environmental constraints overlay area 1, 2, and 3. So I'm gonna bounce around a little bit. So here's just a location map that gives you a general sense of where the property is located. So it does have frontage along Lake Monroe, but there are some very steep slopes along here.
Are they planning on putting a dock in there too?
I think we can take questions in just a few minutes. Thank you. So this is zoned Ag RR. Most of the properties adjacent to it are also zoned Ag RR. Just as a note, this property is no longer zoned pre-existing business. So this is also now agricultural rural reserve. And we can see with the proximity of areas 1, 2, and 3, closest to the lake, here's area 1, 2, and then the very front is area 3, which of course those areas are going to restrict any land disturbance on slopes greater than 12%, 15%, and then 18%. So with the most restriction being closest to the lake. So here's some of that physical terrain. As we can see, it does kind of encompass a point coming at the meeting of 2 ravines. So we do see drainage is going to probably run to the south of the property, and everything, any kind of land disturbance in those slopes I just mentioned would go directly to the lake. Okay, so jumping back up to just a little bit of the summary of what this request is. So the petitioner that's listed is Mrs. Lorraine Fowler. She is a real estate agent and is related to the people that own the property. The property owners are called, let me remember, Starts Living Trust. So I don't know if Starts is a family name, but we just shortened that down to just Starts Rezone. So the property used to contain like a really rustic wall log cabin structure that was demolished years ago. There is an old residential accessory structure of a barn, kind of a small barn, not even quite what you'd call a garage. It looks pretty dilapidated, but that's the only structure on the property now. The driveway entrance that was originally there is pretty overgrown, and I didn't notice a mailbox when I was there, so pretty much undeveloped. So the property owners are wanting to sell the property, so the petitioner, Mrs. Fowler, is representing, and advertising that as a real estate agent. They are wanting to sell the property for commercial use. They have stated that they've had 3 different buyers that are interested in doing boat storage on the property. We've done 1 use determination. I've done 1 meeting with at least 1 interested party where we talked about this rezone process and what boat storage, what boat storage was, the definition and where that use is permitted. So the use of boat storage is only permitted in the limited business. Is that right? Limited or light? I always forget.
I know it's fine.
limited business zoning district. So that is their intent here. So although Ms. Lori Fowler is not directly the developer, she wants to rezone it no matter what in order to sell it, and they've stated that's to increase property value. They've made kind of their arguments as to why they think boat storage would go here, but they haven't necessarily included much of that information. And overall, this request is to rezone the whole property to any use that could potentially, be permitted or conditional with an LB. So we are kind of downplaying that they state it's for boat storage because ultimately we can't confirm, yes, that can never be guaranteed. So within the packet, we did have definitions of the agricultural rural reserve district and also the limited business district. So the comprehensive plan identifies this area. Well, actually, before I go into this, let me go ahead and bring up a few of the site photos that did not make it into the packet.
Yeah, could you blow these up so we can?
Yeah, I know the screen's still pretty far away. So this is looking directly east. So kind of a long, narrow property. It's about 270 feet wide. And pretty much the whole front is just kind of a grassy mowed area currently with vegetation and cut towards starting about halfway back. So that's along South Fairfax Road.
Where is that Lake Monroe? Is it on the backside?
Yep, so we're looking directly east here, so Lake Monroe would be past that tree line and way down, probably 10 some acres, yeah. So not visible from the road. This is just an adjacent driveway. At the time, I wasn't sure if that was the main entrance or not, so I snapped a photo.
For sale, sorry.
And that's an adjacent property house. And that's the little structure that's still there on the property, an older barn. So the comprehensive plan designates this area as rural residential, and there's not much variety for adjacent properties. So everything in this area is pretty much rural residential. And then we've got a small little spot of the designated communities area. So rural residential is really going to be focusing on residential uses and areas that might have vulnerable ecological features like steep slopes, the eco area, overlay. We also might see rural residential areas that have karsts. I don't believe there are any karsts on this site, just based on contours. It would be a little unlikely towards this side. So average density for rural residential is fairly sparse. It's a larger density. And it does state that the density shall preserve the rural lifestyle opportunity of this area and help protect nearby vulnerable lands. It does state that open space can serve a variety of uses, including recreational opportunities for local residents, also limited accessory agricultural uses or buffering of an adjoining use. It talks a little bit about how properties within the rural residential area should still be able to have access to utilities. So enough room for adequate conventional septic fields, mound systems, that kind of thing. And that mentions briefly here a little bit about new subdivisions and road traffic. New subdivisions have access to county roadways and not to exceed the capacity of the traffic lanes that are pretty much kind of already existing, since most of these areas tend to be more rural. They're not necessarily identified for improvement in the thoroughfare plan. So subdivisions are going to be a little more limited in this area. So overall, staff is would recommend forwarding a negative recommendation to the Plan Commission just based on the proposed limited business uses, and in comparison to the comprehensive plan that's really quite focused on residential uses. You have questions?
Yeah, does anybody have questions for Ms. Crecelius? I see there's a bubble on the question and answer. I don't know if Julie is there.
I just promoted Julie,
Oh, good. Oh, no.
We cannot see the photos.
On Zoom.
Yeah, when you had when you're showing the photos, they weren't visible on Zoom. just FYI.
Okay, it was a field and a picture of a barn structure. That's pretty much it, Julie.
And I can show those again. I can change the screen sharing. I'll go and do that.
And please note that Julie Thomas is present. Yes. So does anybody have questions for staff?
I have some basic questions, but I think let Julie do her picture review.
Can you see those, Julie?
I can, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the property yet, so this is helpful.
Yeah.
So this was the photo looking directly east. And that's looking north towards Fairfax. A northern adjoining properties driveway. That's looking south. For sale sign and a southern property owner's house.
So you talked to 3 potential buyers, or you talked to one of the 3 potential buyers.
I talked to one, the petitioner stated that they've had 3 all interested in boat storage.
Say that again.
I have spoken with one possible interested party. The petitioner has stated that they've received strong interest from 3 individual buyers, all interested.
Are they doing more than boat storage? Or are they gonna, are they gonna put a dock that's close to the water?
I do not believe that they would be able to build a dock just based on a portion of that lake frontage is actually owned by the Army Corps of Engineers. And then all of the rest of it is really steep slopes, so development would be limited.
Neighbors, complaints, concerns?
I have one neighbor who's going to kind of spearhead, kind of organizing the rest of the adjoining neighbors. And they've expressed interest in coming to the plan commission and speaking on it. I don't necessarily know if they'd be for or against.
Traffic concerns out there?
We've requested that the petitioner apply for a driveway permit. Hasn't been done. Sent them a reminder email to do that. I'm hoping that we'll have that information for plan commission. If not, they'll definitely, have a second hearing that point.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ferris. And how about you, Mr. Morris?
I've got one, and there aren't any actual offers on the property yet, right? It's just people talking about the idea.
That's all I've heard, yes.
Ms. Swain, do you have any questions?
Not questions, just it's a lot of land for boat storage. I looked at a couple of other nearby boat storage areas and they're very, very small.
Yes.
So I just, again, if we rezone it, it could be used for any purpose
Any purpose?
under that limited business category.
Yes,
So
yes. And, Commissioner Thomas has her hand raised.
Yeah, actually, Amy is spot on. I think you have to look at that entire list because if this is approved, anything on that list of limited business could ostensibly be placed there. Most of it's permitted. There's a lot there that I don't think fit into an eco zone. Limited business and eco zones to me don't go very well together for this reason.
So, and we don't take questions from the public today.
In this case, we don't have anyone from the
No.
public.
Well, does anybody want to give an indication to staff what we're thinking and pose it in terms of a recommendation for approval or denial? So that when it appears before the plan commission, they'll have the insights of the plan review committee.
I recommend that we concur with the staff recommendations.
And that's seconded by Mr.
Second.
Morris. Yes, yes. Oh, so Julie also. So if you would just call the roll, just so we have it on record.
And this is for a negative recommendation
Yes.
to RAZ 22-8, which is the request from Agar to limited business at 7955 South Fairfax. I'll start with Julie Thomas,
Yes,
Jeff Morris,
Yes,
Margaret Clemens.
Yes,
Scott Ferris,
Yes.
Swank. Yes. Okay, it's negative recommendation by 5-0.
Okay,
That to the planning commission.
wonderful. Are there any other items that you need from us or? No, I don't believe it. Is anybody objecting to dismissal and adjournment?
No objection. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Thanks. I never tried that because
It's cheap.